And we're underway. And the second we go live, Dave disappears. He'll be back in a second because that's how the internet works. Tony, good morning. How are you doing today, man? And you're all alone. So I don't know if this. There we go. Today we're going to bring in Dave. He's back. Tony will be back in a minute. Maybe it's my internet. Did I just boot you out of the live stream?
I hit like the done button on the top right, and I thought that was going to make me go full screen, but it just bounced me out. That done means I'm out of here.
All right. Well, Tony must have hit the done button too because he dipped, but he'll be back because he knows how technology works. I shared this in the group chat yesterday. Apple every once in a while, I don't know if they're breaking the internet anymore, but they definitely cause a kerfuffle whenever they announce new features or new hardware. And there are some other things out in terms of hardware coming very, very soon for Apple. But I had dropped in the chat this AI health coach. Did you guys look into like what Apple is actually Project Mulberry, which makes it seem very, very cloak and dagger, which I love cloak and dagger. But have you clicked into this at all, or do you guys know anything about Project Mulberry?
No, you're gonna have to tell me about it.
All right. So essentially, Apple is looking to leverage the data. I mean, this was always coming. This was always very obvious. Leverage the data that people are openly, willingly giving their phone from a health perspective. How many hours you sleep, how many steps you take, how often your heart rate is above this. I mean, you can do heart rate, you can do blood oxygen, and some data purists might say, well, the data is okay, or it's measuring kind of good. Here's the thing, like a B minus all day, 24/7 is pretty good, in my opinion, in terms of data. So essentially what they're trying to do is, how can we give you behavioral nudges? I mean, your Apple Watch or my Apple Watch does that already. When I've been sitting down too long and I tell it I want to stand 8 hours a day, whatever that means, I at least have to stand 1 minute per day for 8 hours, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's behavioral nudges. And we understand that that's what it's like. So Project Mulberry wants to leverage these things and be able to look like they want to be your virtual doctor. That's what Project Mulberry is, combining that data with 24/7 personalization and personalized health guidance. They're looking to position themselves, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, as the future of preventative care. Like think of all the things that we could think of now and a billion that we couldn't, that Apple could use that data to nudge you to do. So I want to stop there just by saying, like, hey, listen, like, what do you think about this? Is this a competitive advantage? Is Apple going to sell this just to the consumer? Do they sell it to the PT or the doctor to harness their technology to then be the virtual doctor? Which would be the better option?
I mean, they're probably selling it to companies like, I don't know, like, I don't want to say like Palantir. Palantir is some company that does like drones and like protecting our borders and stuff like that. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I was gonna say sell to pharmaceutical companies. I don't know if they'll be able to, if they would even want it or not. I don't understand fully why Apple's doing it. I mean, like they have a very profitable hardware approach. Then they sell the, iCloud and that type of stuff. They, sell new iPhones. They have the iPads and other devices. I get like this sounds great, but I messaged you and Tony in the chat yesterday my already preconceived notions around like nudges are not going to change. Nudges are not going to change someone. They're not going to actually, in my opinion, for like in mass across the country, nudges are not going to change people's behavior. They're not going to get them to walk more, move more, drink more water, sleep better, exercise more. I think for the most part, you either need some remote programming person that you pay. I paid Michael Laviolette to write up we did 3 months, and then I think we did another 3 months, 6 months total, maybe 9 months or something. I paid him. He's a physical therapist. I paid him for writing up a workout for me. Then he would check in with me, and it was a human checking in with me. If it's a push notification that checks in with me, as a human, I am numb to it. Most folks are numb to it. They're not going to use it for behavior change. I don't really understand why Apple would do this. I think it is great. It's a great initiative. They're not going to make money from the consumers because no one puts value in a push notification nudge or whatever when it comes from AI. So I don't think it's even going to actually work, but they might use the data to then sell it to whoever that you didn't even approve of selling your data to. That is my, I don't know, my intro commentary to this so far.
Yeah, you said it was okay. It was just in the terms of the 49
Yeah, yeah. You scrolled 50 times and you hit accept
Yeah,
terms. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I agreed, but like, all right. So I think you can steal this from Apple and you don't even have to hire developers. I think the idea here would be more of the coach, not just the clinician. So this is where I think the technology and remote therapeutic monitoring sort of come into play, which is I did this when I had a triathlon coach. I hired Kevin, who was a PT student at the time, but a really, really great triathlete. And he would write up
I remember this.
a week or two's worth of workouts where I was like, well, how come you just didn't give me 6 months worth of workouts? And of course, he logically was like, well, I didn't see how you did on the first week or two. And I'm going to adjust the week or two based on this. Or like, hey, man, I got to travel for work. So I physically can't travel, work out on these days. So he's going to modify that. I look at this as how'd you do or how are we doing? Show me. So here's a cool upsell, I think, when I was coming up with this morning and last night that I think would work well for Dave Kittle, which is
What do
what
you
if
got?
you sell remote Dave, like remote therapeutic monitoring? We'll give it some zhuzh name, right? With it, it's a package that you're going to monitor. Now there's the remote therapeutic monitoring, right? But with it comes an Apple Watch. So now as the program is like, here, you say you want to get better. You want my eyes on you, my professional expertise. I have to see the data. Just saying, yes, I did my exercise 3 times, exactly like you showed me, Dr. Dave. Of course I did. Precisely when you told me to do it, how many times you told me. Let's take a look at how you're doing and what are the metrics. So now instead of maybe the KPI being was compliant with HEP, it was able to go X number of steps or raise their heart rate above this rate for X number of minutes and X number of days. And now you can set more relatable, more specific, more valuable KPIs and you can prove it, right? And like there's that feedback loop. So yeah, the people who are never going to do it, they're never going to do it, right? They're
Right.
just but the people who are like, I'm on the end of the diving board. If you give me a ball to chase or a thing to score, I'm more apt to do it. So Dave, Tony, I was saying to Dave that a package could be you, Dave's going to now remotely therapeutic monitor you. With it comes an Apple Watch. I'm going to have all this data. Apple's big into it. I'm going to be able to get eyes on you even when you're not here. And now the in-person visit is more valuable. Now it's not just let me watch you do your bridges. Let me watch you do your squats, which everybody holds as low value anyway, right? People who've never experienced PT come to a clinic and they're like, what's like, I mean, I would love to know the common thoughts going through people's heads, but like, I could do this at home. Why do I need you? As Dave said, there's YouTube videos. I could do this. So make it valuable. And now it feels more like I have my PT unless I go to PT or this is something I have to do. So I don't think you need Apple to do anything different. I think if you harness the fact that like Apple has all this stuff and I can use this with you for your specific goals, this feels like a yes and to Apple.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all the technology exists. We can track everything. We've talked about this a bunch over the years. Like it just depends. Like Whoop, there's all these devices out there. Everything from a $5 pedometer
Yeah.
to take a screenshot on your phone. My iPhone has the health app that you can see how many steps. To something like you're talking about, where it's actually monitoring. Yeah, that stuff is there. Just got to incorporate it.
Sam says that he has a program like this. He likes a watch to track aerobic exercise. Personally, he likes Garmin. Again, these things are going to have positives and negatives, right? In terms of like data accuracy. We're not getting into the weeds there, but using it as a carrot and not a stick, I think
I believe in the US, it's only going to work if there's some human, there's another human that is in the mix of this offering. If it's
why.
just
I agree, but why?
because people need accountability, people are more accountable to another person. Like if I have like we've been doing it for so long now, this is a habit every Tuesday, Thursday morning. But when we first started, it was like a calendar invite, and I would have not urgency, but I would be like, oh, like I have this call with Tony and Jimmy, and if I don't show up, then I don't look great, or I'm leaving them hanging, or whatever. But if it's a push notification from Apple that says like, hey, why don't you walk around the block? It's not going to work. It is
Right.
this one, and Tony was offline, but I said it to Jimmy. But the messaging that I sent yesterday, which is my already preconceived notions around, whatever the approximate stats are. 40% of the United States is obese. Probably 60% are overweight or have blood work that is out of the normal ranges. And so a push notification from Apple that says like, hey, are you starting your day? Like drink 8 ounces of water. And then
Right.
why don't, go walk around the block and let me know how you feel. Like people are already numb to all these push notifications and emails and messages and whatever, whatever the mindfulness app that comes on my Apple Watch. And I get a notification on my Apple Watch that says like, are you starting your day? And it's like 8 a.m. and we've been up since like 6 a.m. It's like, I started my day 2 hours ago. Like, it's just like, it doesn't even make sense. But you're right, Jimmy. I agree with you. If there's a
If
package that says, I'm going to, a patient that has chronic back pain, neuropathy, whatever, total knee replacement, a year ago, total knee replacement, whatever. And, Tony, Jimmy, or myself, we sell this package of an Apple Watch to track your to track your pedometer, your steps per day, all of that, and tied into the in-person or a remote coaching virtual programming component, then yes, I believe it could work.
watch is free as long as you go through the 12 months, right? Watch as long as use that. Like you want the watch, so you have to do the thing. Like
So
use it as an
free
exploding.
watch. My program is only $2 or $3 but it's a free watch.
Right, but or else you got to give the watch back.
So Dave, let me ask you, because I've been meaning to talk to you about this. Have you seen the new videos put out by the new Google AI video generator?
No.
One of the Gemini commercials, or
It's not Gemini. It's like Vio or something. I should know. I was just looking at it this morning. These videos are freaking me out. So
Really?
so they're videos. They have audio, which I don't think any of the other major video platforms do. They're videos just like this, you and I talking. They're very real humans, and they're like, I am not just a prompt, I am a real person, and it is shockingly real. I feel like this is something that's going to genuinely replace you, me, all of us. And the difference is when AI is the one that's doing the motivation, doing the accountability, holding somebody feet to the fire, AI can pull all of our strings. AI understands all of our fears, all of our insecurities. I think everything you're saying is accurate, but AI can do it better than a human motivator can do it, especially an AI that's with us 24/7. The whole idea that OpenAI got the guy, Ives, I think his last name is, from Apple to come on board and design a new device, whether it's a phone or something that like records everything visually, audio. It is going to be ridiculous how much this device understands. Just like, we're talking about, I want to buy a new bike, and then I start seeing bike ads through my, social media, following me on Google, on Facebook, on all the platforms. This is that times 1,000. So I do think the AI is going to do it better.
So there's a couple. Go ahead.
So right now is June 10th of 2025, and Billy Jean, you know the guy Billy Jean, Billy Jean Marketing, Billy Jean, the genius, whatever, buy my stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
He's a big marketer. He runs leads for small businesses. I think he's in like San Diego, whatever. He posts videos on his Instagram, and I'm watching them, Tony, and they're really good. I agree. They're really good. And it's a selfie video of him, and he's talking, and then as the video is playing, eventually it says like, this is actually not me, this is an AI video. And then the caption says something like, can you comment below like 0 to 10 on the level of reality or realness or whatever, like actually like that you think it looks like, if 10 is a real person, or if 0 is a real person and 10 is AI, whatever, pick a number. And I'm watching these videos in 2025, and yes, they're good. Yes, they're close. But you could still see like, and then I get distracted. Then I'm like, then I'm like, this is actually not a real human. And so then I miss his whole message on like I get the whole message, but his message is like, now he's saying sell these types of videos to business owners for content, for social media, and you can use Sona or whatever these platforms are to make videos. So anyway, go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the psychological levers we're talking about a second ago, which is if I know AI or my phone is the one saying, like, good morning, make sure to drink eight glasses of water. Apple's sort of already baked that into the cake on how to make it. So I don't know if do you guys use Apple Watches okay, so I'm connected to my buddy Brian, and I can tell when he starts a workout. And I can tell when he
Yes.
closes his rings, and he can tell when I close mine. So there is that element. So you could quite simply, you wouldn't have to develop any program. You could just say, you follow me on this watch. Now I'm following. Now you might have to get a separate account because if you have a couple patients and you're doing this, you don't want to be getting dings all day. But that's how you'd be able to organize this and see their data. And you can, I'm sure there's an easy way to be able to swap the deeper data.
Yes, I have another quick story that confirms my bias around the human component to this versus virtual. I have a buddy, Juan Gonzalez. He lives in, I think he's in Spain. He was in Spain, then Germany, and now he's back in Spain. And we did the same thing on Apple Watches. We connected our workouts or whatever, right? So, like, what is it? They compare, is it calories per day or what's the main metric?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
And so
pick a metric.
he set it to, like, I don't know, 1,000 a day or whatever the number was. And we did like a challenge together. So it's like he versus I. And you guys know, I don't know if you, I think you guys know, but if you don't know, now you know, I'm super competitive. And I absolutely did more on purpose when we were doing these. I made sure, like, and he's ahead of us, whatever, Spain is like 6 hours ahead or something. So I would wake up and he would like already be doing stuff. And I'd be like, oh, and like, this is when I was seeing patients. So I was walking around seeing patients and coming home and working out or running extra just to beat him. And I beat him every single challenge. And he Juan, if you're listening, I love you, man. But
do you want to hear a funny way of that?
But real quick, if this was like, you know, Marty the Apple bot versus me, like, right, it's not going to move me to run more or wake up more and go walk and move more. I don't think. No, and I'm super active.
I will tell you though, Peloton and Apple have both figured out that sometimes, well, different levers motivate different people because there are awards, there's medals you can win. And I did the close your move ring 32 times in the last 32 days. So I get that thing. But do you want to hear a funny way about, there was a group of people who live on a street, a cul-de-sac, a bunch of families somewhere, and they all connected their apps, right? So all their watches are connected. So when one of them starts a workout, everybody knows. And these people would connect. And whenever a husband and wife would be together, they'd select wrestling. So the whole neighborhood knew who was wrestling and how long and how many calories. So it's just taking its gamification of movement.
Yes.
So this segment, we're talking about AI health coaches. Is that what?
Yeah, Apple,
Okay. So have you guys heard Gary Vee's position on by the people who are being born right now, like Dave's kids' generation? Most likely somebody in that generation is going to officially marry AI.
Weird.
Like have a marriage between a human and some sort of artificial intelligence. Have you heard this position?
No, but it doesn't surprise me, but it does creep me out. I mean, I just don't understand.
Yeah. Well, so to think that a human, and I believe it, can have such a deep emotional connection to a robot that understands the dopamine, understands emotion, understands physiology, can say things, do things. And of course, this is just like, if you can have that kind of connection, you can have a robot that can motivate you to exercise more, eat healthier, do whatever. I like you, I agree. I believe that humans are going to connect. There's a theory, I think we discussed it once a long time ago, that why haven't other, if you believe in aliens, why haven't they populated the universe? There's a theory that as you grow technologically, you don't go out. You have no desire to go out anymore. You go in. And so if there are aliens on other planets, the whole idea is that they are so satisfied and happy that they just stay within themselves. That's a whole different conversation. But I definitely think that you can have such a deep connection to artificial intelligence that you want to marry it. like it's just incredible.
It's not creepy at all. I want to use it to motivate people to be a little healthier. Maybe not wrestle with it. What else is on your mind? But I think the Apple, the Google, the Amazons, they do move the needle in sort of everything. So it's like, why is Apple, Dave, I think you were saying a minute ago, like, why Apple has iPad and phones. Why are they getting into this? I think they're smart enough to know that they need to be doing other things. They need to have a Project Mulberry in like every vertical or crossing verticals. Or else, if someone else develops it, if Amazon were to develop it, you're light years behind by the time it started. So you need to sort of have R&D running on all these things. So, I mean, didn't Jobs say they're not a computer company, right? They're like an idea company or something like that. So like, that's a little how you look at it. And I think Bezos is a, disciple of Jobsian philosophy. They all sort of look at it like that. So I think these technology companies are like, we are human, race companies, and we have to be all things to all people because we don't know. Maybe someone invents like an implantable eye thing where we don't need iPads anymore because I have a screen on my retina. Like, and then what do we do about iPads? Nothing.
So there is a contact lens that has been developed that sits on the eyeball that displays a screen that you can see. The limitation to that right now is the heat production and the battery life. But like that already exists. It's already there. Going back real quick to a Gary Vee-ism, he was the first person I heard say Instagram is probably the #1 most successful fitness app ever created on the planet, because Instagram understands and has gotten humans to go do things in nature, physical fitness, activity, that if they couldn't share the photo or the video, they wouldn't do it. So again, I think when we're thinking about motivation, we have to go outside of what we're used to. Yeah. And there are going to be motivators that we're not even considering right now.
I mean, the event, I'm in Long Island right now. And the event that I was at yesterday is for a nonprofit called Man Cave Health. And Man Cave Health is just like, hey, listen, prostate cancer is bad, and getting tested for it is actually not as bad as it used to be. I mean, we used, all the jokes.
I heard they don't do the finger anymore.
They don't do the finger anymore.
Yeah.
No, it's a PC. I did a blood test yesterday. I got tested. It took me longer to sign the waiver than it did to do the test, to the blood test, right? So Man Cave Health is so smart because they understand that sometimes the direct route would be hospitals should have marketing teams, and they do. So then why can't they market? Because they're hospital marketing teams. So Chris at Man Cave Health sees this and is a smart guy. Chris has no medical background, right? Doesn't understand. He doesn't care. What he cares about is he's like, well, where do dudes hang out? Well, we want dudes to come to the hospital. We want them to get tested. Chris is like, you got to go to dudes. Let's go to the Pocono 500. Let's go to the Rose Bowl. Let's go to NBA games. Let's go there. And then, well, what do we do? Bring lab coats and stethoscopes and needles? No, dude, not yet. Like, let's do cool swag and people and music and make it cool. Hey, what are you about? We're about making sure 1 out of 6 dudes don't get prostate cancer. It's like, well, I'm about that. But if you had a poster on the wall at a hospital, it doesn't land. So doing the direct route, we have tried that pretty much in everything, right? We've over-scienced science. Sometimes you got to gamify science. Why is Instagram so great at that? Because they understand. We didn't know it going in. That wasn't the goal. The goal was to share pictures. Humans took it and they're like, what do I want to make this about? I want to make it about me. And then what do I want to make it about? So yeah, I think going the direct route doesn't work. You have to bang it off the wall. It's a ricochet idea.
Speaking of hospitals, what do you guys think of Dana Strauss's post on LinkedIn yesterday? She was talking about basically the hospital experience, how, it's working against everything we want to do in healthcare, how basically when you go into the hospital, you're admitted for some sort of medical emergency or condition, you're strapped to a bed, you can't get up, you can't move around. I had commented on it saying, yeah, it's true. Every time I've got an older family member, they get admitted for whatever, they're like, the bed is as big as the room. There's no place to move around. You've got lights 24/7. You've got beeping. You've got people coming in and out, like taking your blood, doing all this stuff. The hospital is virtually the worst environment to try to heal or recover. The food's still terrible, even though they're trying hard to make it better. When you let a hospital create a healing experience, they mess it up every single time. And it works against health and wellness and, independence. It was a great post by Dana.
Yeah, if you were to design a really good hearing environment, a healing environment, it would not be a hospital. It would be the opposite of a hospital, of course. Is
You
this the one you're
can't get
talking about here?
sunlight. You can't go outside.
Yeah, asking someone, and I had parents, in the hospital in the last couple of years, and like asking, like, can my dad go outside? Like, absolutely not. You want to know why? Nothing to do with health, everything to do with lawyers. Well, if he falls on the way outside,
liability, right?
you don't get anything for free in the hospital. But what do you get what are the two things you get? You get pairs of them in the hospital for free. You get those ridiculous no skid socks. Why? Because my feet are cold. No, because I don't want you to fall. And if we know that, we reduce fall risk by 40%, or making numbers up. But if you have the stupid socks on, but yeah, so maybe we go down this rabbit hole. They're doing this.
It would be smaller private bougie hospitals that you have to pay a concierge fee for. That's the thing. I was going to say, like, there's, in a community, and there's like, thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people in certain communities or cities. And the hospitals were obviously created as a way, like, this is the location where you go if you have an infection, you get hit by a car, fall out of a tree, you get a major infection, whatever. And like, that's the location where everyone goes, and they just, like you said, jokingly, like, everyone kind of gets strapped to the bed because, like, sit here, we know you're going to be here for whenever we need to, like, run another test, check your blood pressure, administer medication, whatever. We know exactly where you're going to be. You're in room 201 or whatever, right? And that's just the way it is. And the only thing that's going to change is if you have the financial resources to, join some concierge practice, some of these concierge practices in the city, like, they'll do home visits, physicians doing home visits. And I've walked into a couple times in the New York City area. I've walked into a house call, and the patient has a full-on hospital bed, beeps, wires, everything. And I'm just blown away at some of the money people spend when their loved one is 70, 80, 90, whatever years old. They're trying to keep them alive. And it's basically like a hospital room in their home. Takes money, takes financial resources, but that's the only that's the only way to try to do it differently, other than like a big hospital. You'd have to have like an urgent care sized mini hospital for people that can actually afford it. That would be expensive.
If you have money, people will give it to you if you give them a reason. These are Ignite medical resorts. So this is what you're talking about. This is luxury recovery.
Yep.
So they have results all over the place, looking like they're starting in Texas and the Midwest. And let's see what their specialty clinic programs are. State of the art. Like, so this is like what any like forward thinking PT or healthcare provider would want. But orthopedic recovery program, state of the art equipment. It's not even saying like what issues, like rapid stroke recovery program. Okay, this is good. But yeah, if you have the money, they're like, come here. Look, they're using neuro rehab VR. That's Vita Sumerati. Cardiac recovery. So orthopedics, stroke, cardiac, pulmonary, wound care, in-house dialysis. So they're saying these are wellness spas, right? Medical spas. If you've got the money, they will take you.
So we have a
people
place
like people will pay $100 to see a physical therapist, but they'll pay $30,000 to recover from something. Yes.
We have a place like that, actually, a mile and a half down from my street. They promote exactly. It's not that company, but it's very, very similar. You look on the website, the photos are amazing. The amenities are incredible. You can't believe it.
Food's got to be good. Food's got to be better.
They've changed ownership like 3 or 4 times already.
Oh,
It's one of those things where the concept is there, but then they fill it with a bunch of people who have been in the healthcare system for too long, and they just turn it into the model that we're trying to get away from. Like, that's an example where you need to go to the Ritz-Carlton. You need to recruit people out of that environment. You need to go to other businesses that have nothing to do with healthcare, pull the culture out, pull the people out. Do not put doctors that have been hospitalists, do not put nurses' aides, do not put people with 20 years of experience into that, because they will destroy it. You have to come at it completely different. And that's kind of what I've said about physical therapy. Like, don't go to, trying to create a new model of care by pulling a bunch of people from the profession that already have. Yeah, you have to go outside of the culture of physical therapy to create something that's different and better than what physical therapy is right now.
Yeah, otherwise it's blue. It's the
Yeah.
thing we knew, but now it's blue, or it's green, or it's lighter. It's like there's no difference there. If you really want innovation, you have to go outside of the organization.
What's kind of interesting is like we're talking about that, and then you have like Savannah Bananas, right? It's like not baseball. People, baseball purists, I believe, like it's not baseball. It's a show. It's like WWF, WWE, like scripted. Maybe they know who's going to win the game. Maybe they do it on. Maybe they don't know. I don't know. But like it's not baseball, but it's different. But Jesse Cole was a minor league pitcher, the founder, the MC, the leader of Savannah Bananas. He was a baseball purist. He was a minor league pitcher. He was drafted. I think he blew out his shoulder, and then he could no longer play. And then eventually they, risked, mortgaged their home or whatever their whole lives and bought the Savannah Bananas, and then eventually turned into what it is now. So I think sometimes it's like you do need a little bit of the previous world and a new direction and new folks from other worlds to create the new thing. You need like a little bit of the physical therapy or the healthcare or the hospital. Like maybe, I don't know, Tony, you got to like, maybe you cherry pick the things that are like tried and true,
Like
needed,
need.
whatever
Yeah.
need it, but then you go into hospitality, or you recruit from other worlds where they're all about clients, customer service, wow, a wow experience, a remarkable experience, that type of stuff.
I think their story was if they didn't do something, they were going under. So some people are like, he's not baseball. Okay. He just invented a new thing then, which is baseball tainment, right? Which is baseball. Again, my favorite sport growing up needed to do something different. They have a pitch clock. They have a pitch comm. They're innovating. But for the longest time, you didn't see highlight clips of Major League Baseball games on social because MLB they were like, those are our clips. You can't use them. Dumbest move baseball could have set them back 2 decades. There's going to be a
Yep.
real long pause, like when I'm 60, right? And the people who are 20 now are 40 of people not going to games because it wasn't where they were, right? I mean, I sat and almost missed the bus every day in middle school or high school, sorry, because of the timing of ESPN's top 10. I couldn't leave. What am I going to talk about at the locker? Because I had to watch the top 10. But it was so close to I probably became a really good sprinter those years because I had to sprint to the bus. But that's where baseball was for me. I didn't have the speed of swipe. But now that it is, if baseball wasn't there for a good chunk of time, those people aren't going to have that ingrained in their DNA. What are the things we could be ingraining in someone's DNA to make us valuable in the future?
Oh, really, really quick. Speaking about ingraining, have you noticed Tony's growing out
I
the
know.
stubble? He looks amazing. I love it.
Good.
Speaking about a fine grain, like it looks amazing.
Real Harrison 40.
So two quick things. That's where the outcast, you find the outcast. Like I would say the three of us are outcasts in the PT profession because we're not sitting here discussing, best interventions and strategies and manipulations. And
No,
we're talking about the business of physical therapy as a way to improve patient care. We're not talking about the intervention of physical therapy as a way to improve patient care. The guy on stilts, who's a pitcher, he was an outcast. He got, he couldn't make it, yet they brought him back in. So like you said, he had enough baseball, but not so much baseball that he was ingrained. I've got a baseball question. I was thinking about this on the way in and I wanted to ask, why is it a manager and not a head coach? I don't understand that. Where did that come from?
It's a great question. I don't know.
Like, isn't the manager the coach?
Well, I think I'm gonna guess someone's gonna GPT this for me, but I believe back in the day, the person who was in charge was also a player. Like it was like you were a player coach, so you're a player manager. So I think it was almost like a captaincy. It was like, okay, you're playing third base, but you also make the calls on who's coming in to pitch. Because I think having an extra person on a team who just makes decisions was like, well, let's just get the guy who's the best at me. Let's just get the nurse who's already here to be the charge nurse. So I think that would be my guess. Someone's going to look it up.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably.
Okay.
Also,
and now talking about the stubble,
Yes,
the
bring
whole
it back. Bring
here's
it back.
the thing. There's a lesson behind this. So a couple years ago, I switched to a safety razor, straight razor. Like I went with Manscaped, paid $30, got this amazing, like heavy duty, like it felt so good in my hand, one blade shave. It fell because usually after I shave, I stick it on the top of the shower. It fell off and broke. So I was like, oh man. Okay, go back on Amazon. The Manscaped was $30. I go back on Amazon. I buy a $10 knockoff of the Manscaped. I get it. I'm like, this is a piece of junk. It's cheap. It's lightweight. It doesn't feel good in my hand. It's like a fork that you get good, like silver, heavy duty fork to eat food. It's such a better experience than a cheap plastic fork, right? So I get this thing is a piece of junk, but I don't care. I shave once a week. So it falls off again, breaks again. Now I go back to order my third like razor. Well, we had a fraud alert thing called Steam Engine. $1,000 charge came on our credit
Oh my
card.
Lord.
So my
Dude.
Amazon account is tied to a credit card. That credit card got canceled. I haven't gotten a new credit card. I haven't gotten a razor. I ordered an in-between, an $18 razor. It hasn't come because my point in this is, look, guys, I can afford a razor. I can go to the store. I can go to Kroger and buy a razor, but I don't. Why don't I? Because it's inconvenient. When I'm there, I'm not thinking about it. Yeah. Just like physical therapy. I can afford to self-pay for a premium physical therapy experience. Why didn't I buy another $30 handheld razor? I love the experience of shaving with that. But there's something in my DNA that's like, why would you spend $30 when you can spend $18? The outcome is the same. I lose the facial hair either way. Makes no difference. So, I just think that Dave's customer is paying a premium because they feel smart paying for Dave's time or Dave's employees' time. Yeah.
But there's certainty.
Maybe I don't know that.
Maybe some certainty.
For other consumers, it's just not that important. They're going to pay less. I'm a consumer that when it comes to shoes, when it comes to certain products and certain things, I am always going to pay less, even if it's a less enjoyable experience. But when it comes to food, I will buy the most expensive food. I will buy the premium steak. I will buy the premium vegetable. I will buy organic, even if it doesn't really make me any healthier, because that's my bucket. Ramit Sethi talks about buckets, where you put your money and where you spend your time and your emotions. That's the bucket for me that makes me feel good, is spending money on food.
All right, real quick, Jimmy. So I spend about every 5 or whatever years, I'll buy like an electric razor, and they're like anywhere from like 80 to 100 or like 100 and something dollars. I want the same outcome Tony wants. I get the same outcome that Tony gets. I want it to be efficient. I don't want to have to slowly, like, I don't want to have to lean into the mirror, like, make sure I don't like cut myself. And then I'm bleeding, and then I got to come on this show, and I got, I got like something, I'm blood going down my neck. So I don't want that. I've done the electric razors forever, and I would absolutely never skimp on the price, because I know that if you buy the $10, $30, whatever electric razor, it's going to fall apart. And then I got to spend the time, the brain power to then say, okay, I got to go look at reviews, and I got to go back on Amazon and I want to buy a Gillette or whatever the brand name thing I have that's electric. I want to spend whatever dollar amount that they're charging for it. I want it to last 3, 5, 7, whatever years, clean it in between, and it's just reliable. You plug it in, you charge it, it always works.
Did your dad use an electric razor?
He definitely does now, and has been for the 10, 20 years at least. Yeah.
I just wonder how you got introduced to that, and why I don't use an electric razor. I don't know why.
Yeah, I tried one. I didn't love it.
So you do straight edge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm like outvoted here. Wow. All right, audience of men. It's probably 80% of the audience. Let us know your razor decisions.
So these are such fascinating questions. Like, what introduces someone to an electric razor? Why do they make the choice to buy the electric razor? But just as important, why don't I use an electric razor? Like, I don't know. What's the psychology behind that? Do I feel like it's less masculine? You mentioned, real quick, you mentioned cuts. I cut myself probably, every time. But there's something about cutting yourself while shaving that has a masculine connotation for me. I don't know. I remember my dad, he
I
would
I
bleed.
I I make up for it when I play baseball games. I slide head first like Pete Rose and all the bases. I cut up my
Yeah.
arms and my elbows. That's
Yeah.
my blood. I draw blood there. But when I'm
Yeah.
shaving, I want the electric razor. I want it clean, fast, efficient, splash my face. I don't want razor burn. I don't want to have to, like I'm pruning, the hedges. I want to shave and be done. I don't want the whole experience of shaving manually.
I think the simple but not accurate answer is what Seth Godin would say is people like us do things like this. Somewhere along the like, why do people in different cultures do something drastically different to us? Apparently there's a thing in Chicago. I need someone to confirm where it is sacrilege to put ketchup on a hot dog. Like you will get the stink eye. And that I heard this on a podcast the other day. It came from one guy was outside of White Sox play Comiskey, right? Yeah, Comiskey. And he was like, I got a hot dog so good you never need ketchup. And it became a thing. It's like, when did this thing become a thing? All of a sudden, you're like, where's it? Why are baseball managers the only managers in professional sports that wear a uniform? NBA coaches, NHL coaches, they wear suits. Why do we got, Joe Torre over here wearing a Yankee uniform? He's got a number. He's got a number. Joe Torre has a number. He's not a player. People like somewhere it happened. And they probably questioned it then, but they kept doing it. Someone pushed through, and then eventually people like us do things like this. But that's not just culture. That's your own thing, right? A lot of times it comes from people closest to you that you want to assimilate with and be just like them. Or every once in a while, you want to break out of that mold. So you do everything backwards or weird.
You're New York guys. Ketchup or mustard?
Ketchup.
I do both.
Oh my God. Like I remember
Mustard,
my
though.
dad dragging me through the streets of New York. So my mom was in the garment business. She did that. We would go deliver clothes and do stuff. Every time I got a hot dog from a street vendor, I would never imagine putting ketchup on it. It was disgusting to me. You don't know how much it took for me to let my kids put ketchup on a hot dog for the first time. I wanted to smack it out of their hands so hard. I'm a hardcore mustard guy.
This is a conversation you're probably already having, Dave, and which happens with a lot of families, which is when a kid's old enough to understand what a sports franchise and a sports team is, who's their favorite going to be? And
that was pre-birth already decided. The fact that he got David Michael Kittle Jr. I got the naming rights, and he got Mets, Knicks, Rangers. So and then football is up to him, except we got him a bunch of Eagles onesies, and the Eagles just won the Super Bowl. His first time on this earth, the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Apparently that's not his team. I'm saying it's his team, but apparently football he gets to choose. But that's already been pre-decided, pre-negotiated.
My best friend is a New Yorker, born and bred. He's a Red Sox fan. Why? Was it because his dad told him to, or friends around us? No, because in 1986 his brother was cheering for the Mets, and he's like, "Who are the Mets playing? Red Sox. Great, I like them. I like anybody that you don't like. That's who I'm with." So sometimes, and he's still a Red Sox fan. So sometimes it's just because of that. But how often do we get indoctrinated into, well, this is how we do things, and because my CI did it this way, then I like them. Therefore, I want to adapt their habits. I want to show them that I like them by replicating them, by admiring them by repetition. We get caught in those things until we're photocopies of photocopies of photocopies. Then someone who actually has thought, and I asked ChatGPT this a minute ago when you guys were talking, what are the industries we should be looking to actually bring and inject some great ideas in it? And none of these are going to shock you. And we've talked about them before, but I'll repeat them because maybe you have to hear it 50 times. But fitness and coaching. In my opinion, if PT and fitness coaching were similar, they're pretty damn similar, guys, right? The difference is, in my opinion, we are learned doctors of physical therapy, where a really great trainer constantly looks at themselves as a servant, and I need to overserve. And I think that's the better way to look at it. Instead of you do what I say, is I'm going to listen to you and then figure out a way of what you just told me to make it get you to hit your goals. Tech startups and software as a service, they understand all the friction points and then they pay attention to how to solve them. How many times do you have somebody with an EMR is like, I just figured out, this is how I do it. It's not actually, we're not actually changing the thing. We're just duct taping crappy solutions on top until one day it breaks. And it's because we have 15 things duct taped together. Tech people or SaaS people would never do that. They're just like, scrap it, figure it out. So looking to them. Hospitality and high-end service. Of course, if you want to understand like how to get someone to buy in, the Ritz-Carlton or the Four Seasons, they have MBA level programs on this. Retail and e-commerce, I like this, and their healthcare is so resistant to it, but we've talked about this. Masters at driving action through storytelling, offers, experience, psychological levers like bundles, memberships, and limited time offers. Listen, become Dave's patient for the next 12 months. You get a watch. Follow through on all 12 months. You keep the watch. The watch is yours because obviously you earned it, right? Just how could you do that? And professional sports, performance training, and music and entertainment. Those are the industries we should be looking to. The answer most likely is not in a CEU course at CSM. CSM's for something else.
Dave, do you take, or any of your people take students?
No.
Okay. Any reason why?
Sometimes we'll get asked by students, or even sometimes we'll get like as we're interviewing folks, and some will ask if they can kind of shadow in the beginning. And for the most part, I've asked a lot of my patients, and they usually say no, my clients. Now, of course, I could present it to them like they don't have a choice, but the fact that we're going into their private space, into their apartments that we're trying to respect, and ultimately they get the decision. I still have the one patient that I'm seeing one time a week, so 4 visits a month. And I brought my top physical therapist, Porus, to him, and when I was treating someone else, to shadow, because the point was to try to to try to push that last patient over to Porus, and that client wanted to stay with me. So some clients will allow like a physical therapist to come shadow or whatever, but no, we haven't done students. I'm actually, as a coincidence, I'm interviewing a PTA right now, and he is doing really well on the communication. The first call that we had, very impressive the way he communicated and spoke and all that. Looked on his LinkedIn, he's got a history in the hospitality world. Shocker, right? You know, so could that be something? And so I'll have to update you guys more in the future if he joins. But no, in general, like we haven't done students. Same thing, like, my business partner and coach, Sturdy McKay, back when they had 3 or 4 locations in San Francisco, they were one-on-one, always self-pay or out of network or whatever. And they didn't really take students either. They would not hire new grads. They always wanted to hire a therapist that had like 2 or 3 years of experience. They looked for therapists that had the, service-based history, maybe hospitality, whatever. They also would never hire a physical therapist that was their first job. Like they would not hire a physical therapist out of school. So you had to go work somewhere else, and then they would hire you. And they would ask like, where did you work in the summers for high school? Where did you work in the summers during college? Or, what type of volunteer or work or whatever. So they would always dig into that. But no, just to answer your question, no, we haven't done students.
But what's the main reason large organizations, and we'll get to this will be a tease because we talk about this on Thursday. This is a LinkedIn post I dropped this morning, and it's already sort of blowing up. And the question is this a PT mill? We'll get to this. But why would these organizations that are larger, and I'm not knocking them, the ATIs, the Ivies, the Athleticos, why do they have like student engagement departments? It's because they have a need, right? Like, I'm not knocking them. I don't think but let's be honest, it's not clinical excellence. Like, you're not doing you're doing a residency program because you're smart that says if you do a residency here, that's a pipeline to keeping people engaged and keeping people here. Dave doesn't really have that problem, not at scale, right? You don't need to hire 60 people next month. If you did, you better have we'll go back to baseball. You better have a farm system. It's a farm system in a good way, growing, right? But if you don't have that problem, and also your model makes it real hard, like dude, I'm going at 100 miles an hour because this person is paying for this. This person is paying this for this. And education is going to slow you down in a good way. It should slow you down in some way. But that's why I think people like Dave don't take students, and probably shouldn't and can't, is because they're busy doing the thing. But a different model can allow it, where applicable. But yeah, that post on LinkedIn, take a look at that. Essentially, I've asked this question before. I don't know why it's a question. I love poking bears because I love asking questions I know there's no answer to. The question is, if you point your finger at an organization that says they're a PT mill, when are they, and what could they do? What could they remove one thing at a time until they're not? So where's the line is what I'm asking.
Did you see my comment? I commented on your
No.
post on LinkedIn.
No, what'd you say?
So I said a physical therapy practice that books and completes 4 visits per hour. So one therapist is booking and treating 4 patients per hour.
But
Tony,
is
agree,
3 okay?
Disagree?
Is 3 okay?
I don't know that a mill is a bad thing. I'm
Yeah.
gonna start there. Like, question
There
the
you go.
old premise. You imply that being a mill is negative. I'm gonna say it's not. Before we get off the original topic, though, and if we're going to talk about this on Thursday, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I think this is a, serious problem in the profession, is people who are doing things differently, people who are doing things potentially better, whatever the better is defined as, they're not taking students, and so how do we address this problem for students, new grads, recent grads? I took it as a personal responsibility when I was a CI, which I haven't been a CI for years. When I was a CI, I loved taking students, but it was almost like a personal responsibility to bust all of the myths that you learn in school, to show why the ideas and the concepts that these kids are learning in school are completely absurd, completely ridiculous. And to break them of those ideas and to show them a different way that things could be done, that how therapy could be different. But I was, we're a small, even back then, we were a small group, 2-3 locations. We had a small team. So I had the ability to do that. And it was something that I enjoyed. Now, when you look at who is still accepting students, there's a characteristic of that business, why they're taking students, how they're taking students, what they're doing with these students. And I don't think it's quite as, what it used to be. So I want to talk about students more. We'll save it for Thursday because I think that's a great topic. And I think that's one more opportunity for disruption, for innovation. How can we change the profession for the better? How can we create a business opportunity that helps both sides of the business equation? I think taking students into a new kind of CI program is right for the future of our profession.
All right, that's a front tease on Thursday. If we keep talking, I'm going to keep talking about this, and I'm going to give away the stuff I'm going to talk about on Thursday. So let's do parting shots.
Yeah, that sounds great. What you got?
Parting shot. I would say I'm going to continue to focus on the concierge, whether it's the remote thing with the watch, whether it's, the huge hospital system focused down to a concierge offering to whatever that care or experience is, that I'm just going to continue to focus on the thing that we're doing. I'm not blinders on, because I always like to hear what you guys are doing or thinking, and others are, posting on LinkedIn or other places. But for me, it's just focus. It's just like we know our ideal client or customer, we know our ideal therapist, and that's just main thing right now. So focusing on that growth with hiring, on the growth of hiring therapists, interviewing them, onboarding them, keeping them, retaining them, doing whatever it takes to retain top talent. And then also on the new patient marketing side, generating more leads that are engaged, referral sources, partners, all of that. So that's my main focus. That's my parting shot.
Yeah, I think if you're not deep into AI, whether you choose to use it or not in your practice, in your documentation, in your relationships, whatever, you have to, every part of our future involves AI. Like, there's zero chance that AI is going to go away or disappear. I just think you have to get your hands into it, start to play around with it. And I'm going to get the Google video generator to generate some videos that Dave is going to be blown away by when you see what it is. Nothing like you've seen. I guarantee it is freaky good.
We'll see. All right.
I would say, going back to the first topic we started on today, is I don't think AI is coming for your job. I agree with Dave there. It's not going to replace you, but they are coming for your patient's
Tony.
attention.
Yeah, Tony.
And they're coming for your patient's attention and your patient's data, and your patients are going to hand that data over. So I don't think in the future, to yes and hear both of you, the clinics that win won't be the ones with the fanciest tools or the use of the biggest, the most CPGs. And it's going to ruffle some feathers. They'll be the ones that show up like a coach, like a concierge, that stay connected like a friend, not like automation. So there needs to be some middle ground here. It can't just be a notification every day. So you don't just fix people. The goal is, how can you guide them? How can you use this ability to connect in real time, personalized, to do that? The businesses, the organizations that do, those win. That's it. We'll see you on Thursday at 8:30 a.m. We'll talk about PT Mills. I want people to be able to define it. You cannot just throw around just words and labels unless you can define those things. Learn Medicare billing, the Dave Kittle Show, PT Pintcast. Do the follow. Bang that bell, as they say on the YouTubers. We'll see you guys on top.